Yes, we are back. Welcome. Episode 445 of the podcast. Welcome to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. And we're back with the Knicks. We skipped an episode. I didn't get to see the Dallas game. I was out Christmas tree shopping with my family. But we are back here for episode 445, and we're going to talk about that Cleveland Cavaliers game, so let's get into it. Episode 445 of BD4. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya!
Anthony for three, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
All right, welcome, episode 445 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Let's talk some Knicks, man. So I did miss the Dallas game. I didn't talk about that one at all. Thank God. I was out Christmas tree shopping with my family. We got our tree. We got our inside tree for the living room, and we also got the one that's going to go outside. It's set up and everything. Both of them, we just got to decorate the one inside. And my brother got a tree for his room. I was going to get a tree here for the studio, but one, I'm broke, and two, it's very crammed in here as it is, so it would be difficult to find a spot. But Merry Christmas to all. Hope we're all having a good one. As I am recording, it is December 5th, 2022. And as you are listening to this episode, it should be the night of December 5th, or maybe the morning of December 6th, the very earliest, or latest, or earliest. I don't fucking know what I'm saying. The episode will be out by December 6th at worst. Let's put it that way. Hey, Yellowstone was last night, the 5th. And it was a good episode, man. It was, I have a feeling that they are setting us up for something very, very dark. Like, I feel like something is going to happen on this trip that they're going on for the cattle and everything. I have a feeling that nobody is coming back in one piece. First of all, the subtle little soundtrack at the end didn't sound too positive or optimistic. But just like the hints we've been getting about Casey and Monica, and her crying at the end there, watching her family go away, as the quote she had was like, something about your family. If you don't cry when you're watching your family leave, you may not have one, or something. Just the hints we've been getting about their relationship, not in good jeopardy with the wolf and everything, and Casey doing his whole thing last season. I just been getting bad vibes there. I feel like something could happen to Beth. We've been hearing noise on social media about their relationship, and Beth, I don't know, deciding to go last minute, like 8 hours before they leave in the morning, she wants to come on the trip. I don't know, man. I just feel like they're setting us up for something. It's also been a while since we've gotten a big time death on the show, right? It's been a bit. I don't know. Usually these slower paced, more focused episodes, which was very good still, usually those episodes are setting you up for the bigger ones. I thought this episode was great, though. I did. The dinner scene was hilarious. It was nice to see Monica laughing again, too. Everybody was kind of so uptight for a while. I think that was needed. And it was also needed for Beth and the activist chick to fight it out, and they did. And I was totally rooting for Beth to kick the shit out of her, and she ended up doing so. But it seems like they're kind of like showing some respect for each other now after that fight scene, which was totally handled perfectly by Rip. But it's going to be good, and I'm expecting next week to be a pretty big one. We're getting towards the mid-season finale, right? Are they splitting it up? Because episode 6 will be next week. I'm pretty sure they said they were doing 7 and 7, maybe 6 and 6. So it's coming up. If there's a mid-season finale, it's coming up sometime in the next 2 weeks. I've also been watching Tulsa King. I have to watch the latest one. Last night I missed it, but it's been good. I've been enjoying it. Anything with Stallone, I'm going to enjoy. It's a little, over the top, but it's good. Taylor Sheridan, I've always been a fan of him. He's obviously the writer of Yellowstone, but he's writing Tulsa King. He wrote 1883. He's in each of those shows. I liked him in Sons of Anarchy as the cop, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this week in Tulsa King. I gotta check that episode out, but I like it. I think Tulsa King has been pretty good. Stallone's hilarious. I like the premise of it, the idea of having this, New York Italian American mobster in the middle of the Midwest. I think that's great. It's hilarious, but it's also just unique and interesting. So no one's ever thought of that. So, been playing my PS5 lately. I love it. It just came. I have I ordered like a Kobe Bryant skin, basically a sticker, but it's skin for it, and I put it on. It looks sick. But I got 2K. I've got the show. Came with God of War, the bundle. So I really should be playing that more. I got Battlefield 2042, which I know has bad reviews, but I like it. And I only got it for $5 because I'm doing the EA Pass, $5 a month. Good deal. I got Warzone. I haven't tried Warzone yet, but I will. I'm just waiting for my buddy to get back from vacation. We're going to try it. He's on vacation, and I don't like playing it alone because I'm not good at the game, and I don't know anything about Warzone. And last time I did, I sucked. But I'm talking too much. Let's talk Knicks. Get to one real quick break and get back, and we'll dive into this game. Stay with us. Be right there.
Bing bang.
Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at RobJCarbone. Yeah, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button there. Welcome back to the show. Again, I'm your host, RJ, and you are listening to episode 445. The Knicks, they picked up a 92-81 victory last night at Madison Square Garden. They upset the Cavs. Wow. They're coming off a repulsive loss against the Dallas Mavericks at the time. But they were able to bounce back and respond. They were able to man up, D up, and snap their 5-game losing skid at Madison Square Garden with a win. Thibs making adjustments. The Knicks playing some defense. The officials calling 13 travel calls, plus 1 or 2 carries in there. There must have been a quota out or something last night because 13 travel calls are absurd in today's NBA. It's we complain all the time. At least I complain all the time on how they never call traveling in today's NBA. But I guess I get what I ask for. but I just want a middle ground. Like, I want a middle ground. Last night, there were 13 travels in a single game. That broke the season high of, I think, 11 before that. But Brunson led the way. He put together a big, strong game. Quickley and Hartenstein were even propelling the bench unit. Good win. Got a little bit scary there. Like, I would say mid to late fourth quarter. There was a moment. It just gave you some Knicks PTSD. The Knicks were up 84-71 in the fourth quarter. But they went right into a scoring drought after that. A 13-point lead. Big-time scoring drought. And then with like 3 or so minutes left, hell kind of broke loose. Brunson misses the floater. You have Mitch Robinson getting called for one of those travels. And then Thibs, at the worst time possible, picks up a tech. And during all that, the Cavs pull it to 5, 84-79 all of a sudden. But the Knicks were able to snap out of it and close the door. And it's thanks to their leader, Jalen Brunson, knocking down some shots. Thanks to Randle also, knocking down some free throws and some shots. And the Knicks win. And Thibs lives another day, to the disappointment of some Knicks fans. I've been pretty pro Thibs this season, I think you could say. So let's discuss this one. Let's get right into this win. So let's, the offense, man. Last night the offense wasn't great. The Knicks scored just 92 points. They shot just 41% from the field. You know, if the Knicks want to make the playoffs, or the charity playoff, whatever you want to call it, if they want to make that spot, they will need this type of effort on defense a lot more. Because while their offense has been above average so far, I do not trust it whatsoever to be sustainable if their shooting continues to be as putrid as it's been. Now, there are some other problems to their offense, right? The ball movement last night wasn't great, but it's usually pretty okay. It's at least better than we've seen it last year. The biggest problem is consistently the three-point shooting. It's horrendous. Horrendous. The Knicks shot 17%. Listen, we are over a quarter of the way through the year. And the Knicks are, despite being dead last in three-point percentage, attempting the 12th most three-pointers per game in basketball. I get that they are trying to shoot more threes this year and modernize things and catch up with the rest of the league. But there's got to be a point where you just kind of go back to playing your strengths. And that is getting into the paint. Which, for the most part, I'm not saying last night they didn't do that. Last night they did. But, you know, I am wondering here if we continue to shoot this poorly, if you maybe give... Gosh, I don't even want to say the guy's name, because I know Knicks fans are going to kill me for it. Let me take a sip of water and prepare for this first. I said that like it was alcohol. I don't know why I said that. I do wonder, though, if going back at some point to Evan Fournier and kind of giving him a second crack would help. I don't know, because the shooting's been so bad, and he did break a franchise record in three-pointers made last year. He has been a good 3 shooter his entire career. But you do have to wonder, if you do that, who else does it affect? Fournier is arguably their worst defensive player too, so that's your biggest problem, even more than 3-point shooting, is your defense. So maybe you don't, but at least last night the Knicks were smart in that aspect where they didn't just continue to hoist up threes. Yes, they shot poorly, but they, for the most part, operated at the rim. They won the paint, 56 points to 40 points. Domination there. They were 17-5 in second chance points. And they won the rebounding, 54-39. So, they dominated the paint. They launched only 29 3-point attempts last night. 29 is not bad. That's a low percentage. And they took 32 shots inside the restricted area. So they took full advantage of Cleveland being without their big man last night. You had Randle using the paint to get some of his buckets. Quickley was living inside the paint last night, hence the efficient shooting. Hartenstein actually looked the best he has in a while down there. He had his, signature floater working last night. His rebounding was there too. 10 points, 9 boards in 15 minutes. Obi had a highlight down there. Mitch was a force down low on the glass. 3 more offensive rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds. Did a nice job locking up Mobley. With Jared Allen out, the Cleveland Cavs did everything they could to try and disrupt Mitch on the glass and contain him, but to no avail, as old Clyde likes to say. Mitch finished with 13 rebounds, 3 steals, a block. Not much on offense, but when do we ever get that? But, the Knicks did a nice job running their offense into the paint last night, and they did a nice job defending it as well. Let's get to break real quick. When we get back, we'll talk about Thibodeau and what I like to see from him going forward and what I did like and didn't last night.
Bing bang.
Hey guys, BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Alright, I keep hitting the wrong button as soon as we go to break. So if you hear that fucking soundbite from the Bing Bong segment that we do, I'm sorry. Welcome back to the show, episode 445 of the podcast. So, Thibodeau last night, shaking it up. It was a nice change in pace, and I think he realized, the hot seat. The seat could start getting warm again. If last night was another ugly one. So what did he do? He shook it up. And we saw Miles Deuce McBride check into the game midway through the first quarter, along with Quickley. Deuce actually ended up playing over Derrick Rose and Cam Reddish. So Thibs went back to 9 men last night. Which, if I remember correctly, the last time he did go back to 9 was when the Knicks kind of had their backs up against the wall and the hot seat was hot, and I'm pretty sure it paid off then too. I'm pretty sure it was when they cut Fournier out the rotation, if I'm not wrong. But Deuce ended up with 16 total minutes, played meaningful minutes, and I don't know if it's because, it's probably going to go back to 10 because this was a second night of a back-to-back. They're probably giving Derrick Rose a break. But we also did play D Rose 2 consecutive back-to-backs last time. He played like 20-something minutes in the first game, too, against the Pistons. Then he played the Bucks after that, which made no sense. But I do question what the rotation is gonna. I question it all the time. What it's gonna look like going forward. If we do keep this 9-man rotation, which I wouldn't hate if it keeps working, I would hope that Cam can be part of it and get consistent minutes again. Even if it means that both D Rose and Deuce sit. Cam has been one of your better impact players on the Knicks this season. We've mentioned before that he's become a positive plus-minus guy, where the eye tests very, very much match it usually. Now, I know he struggled more lately, yes, but why the short leash? Like this is a kid who scored you in double figures for 5 consecutive games right before Grimes returned. But because Cam got hurt, he all of a sudden loses his role. Usually you get Wally pipped if you come back from an injury and you really weren't doing a great job previous to it. And if the other guy's also killing it. Now I can see why others might see Grimes as the guy with the higher floor or ceiling, like the better player eventually. And it isn't like I don't trust that Grimes is going to find it. But right now, like, why not go with what's flowing? Because it's not like Grimes has been lights out. He's playing great defense. He's rebounding. He's flashing his point guard skills when he's on the ball. Even in games like last night where he only has 1 assist, he's showing some good point guard skills as a wing. He's showing off-ball abilities, cutting, screening, getting into his spots for those catch-and-shoot threes when he's moving off ball. He's showing a lot of other aspects of his game. But let's be straight. Along with the defense, Grimes is still on this Knicks team and not Donovan Mitchell because they believe in his three-point shooting. And right now, he's still missing way too much from 3. He is 27% on the season. 25% since coming back into the starting lineup, and 18% in his last 2 games. He's only scoring 5 points a night right now in the season. And with Cam, he was defending very well, plus scoring on top of that. So it's just disappointing to see, as a big fan of Cam. I don't know. I don't see this ending very well for him. The trade deadline is getting closer every day. It's in February. But, Cam is on an expiring contract, as we know. We know we can't keep everyone. Obi, Quickley, you got to make decisions on them too. They're on expiring deals. You just think about how we've dealt with Cam since trading for him. When he got here last year, he didn't play at all. Then he played a little bit, but still very sporadically and not much. You had the rumored trade request in the offseason. You had the rumors about Thibs not really being fond of him. Now you're getting this. It just seems like he's never been part of their plan. And that goes back to what we talk about sometimes here when we mention how the front office and the head coach are not always on the same page. There's a disconnect. But I don't want to get into all that again. I hate not living in the moment. I want to try to go day by day here and talk about the games because I feel like we stray too far from that sometimes. So back on subject, don't get me wrong, I did like the effort defensively from the guard rotation last night. I thought Grimes, IQ, and Deuce did a really strong job in point of attack last night. Showed good chemistry out there defending. Communication was on point. That lineup is a good one. That trio of guards right there is a very good backcourt. Which is why I think that Grimes off the bench could help the Knicks playing with that second unit there. It'd be a good thing to get a look at more. Deuce did nice did nice. He did well. He did a nice job forcing the Cavs off the three-point line and drop coverage. I thought IQ continued to be himself defensively. We know he can guard the ball. Grimes holding Mitchell in check for most of the night. Mitchell shot just 8 for 22. 2 of 11 from 3. 23 points. So he didn't have his greatest night. That said, overall, the defense last night wasn't also as spectacular as the 81 points makes it look. Right, there were a whole lot of, let's be honest, open looks in this game that Cleveland just simply couldn't cash in on, especially early first half. So, it was the same old scheme plus some better rotations, some better communication, but it wasn't really close to perfect last night defensively for the Knicks. I'd say the Knicks played good enough defense last night to where it was more like they let up 95 points instead of 80, which is still very good, especially today. But there were a lot of open looks too that the Cavs just couldn't buy a shot. On a bright spot, Jalen Brunson gets another bing bong ball.
Bing bang.
Guy gets one every night. Really does. 23 points, 4 assists, 7 for 16 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3, 7 of 8 at the foul line. Yeah, he's one of the few consistent weapons offensively. Last night, sounds like the season, doesn't it? But yeah, he was making clutch baskets once again. Couple free throws early fourth quarter. He had that great feed from the post where he found a cutting Obi down the middle. That put the Knicks lead into double figures at the time, so that was a big pass, big find. He also hit that step back with under 2 minutes to go when it was only a 5-point game before that. He assisted Randle on a dunk, knocked down some free throws a little later to end it. So he's been doing it all year in the fourth quarter. He's been doing this stuff. His only mishaps last night were maybe some uncharacteristic turnovers. And, his defense will never be great, but the effort's always there. And it was another solid, very solid effort last night. That is his 14th. That's Brunson's 14th bing bong ball of the season. Crazy. I also love the effort that we saw from Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley last night, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 for 8 from the field. He earned his 10th bing bong ball of the season. He's been getting a lot. Again, I love the shot selection from Quickley. Not a single 3-point attempt last night because he attacked. Something I wish more Knicks did, who we'll get to in like a minute. But, Quickley's shooting percentage this season is now up to 42%. I like it. It's a career high so far. It's, his threes are off. It's only about 31%, but he's shooting much, much better from two-pointer. So being smarter in games like last night and attacking the rim with no true resistance down there and Jared Allen, it seems like his floater has had more success this year. So he's getting much more two-pointers to fall. And that's helped his efficiency from the field. He also continues to rebound, defend, which are underrated aspects of Quickley's game. I feel like if you're not a Knicks fan and you're a fan of another team, and you know who Quickley is, you probably see him with the label of like an inefficient volume scorer off the bench, which he is, he can be, but he also impacts the game in other areas, and people don't really know that enough. RJ Barrett. Yeah, 15 points, 8 boards, 5 for 13 shooting. It wasn't a bad night. I want to get that out of the way. It wasn't a terrible night for RJ, but I am also looking at the same problems that I saw last night that we always see. Decision making. He had 6 turnovers. He had another 7 unnecessary three-point attempts. And another game last night where he shot below 40%. And I look at that and I say one thing, again, decision-making. It's simple. You had moments all throughout the game where he displayed tunnel vision. He pulls up for a three-pointer on the break with Randle open in the first half. He misses Obi Toppin for a lob attempt and decides to force a drive on 2 defenders. He had another play in the third quarter where he ignored Randle in transition, but instead draws some contact. At some point, he's going to have to make better decisions. Make the winning plays. Find cutters. Find spotters on the perimeter when you're driving. Keep your head up on the drive, and maybe all these missed shots, these blocks, and these turnovers wouldn't happen so often when you're down there. But what concerns me, and should concern you, if you're super high on RJ Barrett, is that this is nothing new. It's not just this year. It wasn't just last year. It wasn't just his sophomore season, and it certainly wasn't even just his rookie year we saw that, because this has been a problem since Duke. He gets tunnel vision. That's not going to help his efficiency. That's why he's the same inefficient volume scorer year after year and hasn't taken that next step as a passer either. Because when you already lack elite athleticism and you already lack much of an offensive package, being the same predictable dart to the rim slasher is not going to help your efficiency either. Now, RJ did have his moments last night. He had an atrocious first half, but he also had a perfect third quarter where he connected on all 4 of his shots. He was 2 of 2 from 3, and he knocked down both of his free throws as well. And he only had 1 turnover in the second half. But for some reason, Thibs went away from RJ after the big third quarter. He played all the way up until the 2-minute mark in the third. But then he was pulled, and Thibs didn't check him back in until that same mark in the fourth quarter. He comes in with like 3 minutes remaining in the fourth. So if Thibs doesn't do that, we would be singing a totally different song maybe on RJ tonight and talking about how it was a very, very good night for him. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, RJ, those same problems. Randle, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 for 19 shooting. He was whatever. He moved the ball well. He took smart shots. He worked the glass, but the defensive inconsistency remains. Literally standing in the paint, not even bothering to walk out to a guy who gets the ball in the corner, and he's just looking at him, takes a lazy quarter of a step and just decides to give up and not providing any resistance. Not providing any resistance or help defense when penetration comes to the rim. I'd noticed so many. Again, it's the same defensive bullshit. He continues to misfire from 3, but don't let that stop him shooting threes because he's going to continue to chuck. He was 1 for 7 from there. I don't know why he does this. He's so giant. He's got such great strength. He thinks he's Carmelo Anthony sometimes. And even Carmelo bothered me with that shit. But that's another story. And he kept stopping the ball and over-dribbling in isolation too at times, which was part of the reason the Knicks didn't move the ball well last night, because they continued to run through him in the half court, and it didn't always work. But it wasn't terrible. It was just an average Randle night. And he still got 35 minutes, of course. I'm upset that both Sims and Obi can't get out of the doghouse. I get Hartenstein was better last night, and I get that Obi wasn't exactly great. He wasn't. He was bad. But on nights where Randle doesn't exactly have it, why can't we give a little more run to the guy who's next in line? Randle wasn't great across 35 minutes. Obi wasn't great across 12, 13 minutes. I don't know. The leash. It's selective accountability is what I call it. But, again, they won. So, all in all, it was a nice win. a good comeback win. I've still got my questions. Can the Knicks ever string together enough wins now to make a streak out of it? We'll find out Wednesday. And if that's going to happen, we need to answer a lot of things, right? Will R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle ever find consistency? It's always one or the other, or none of them are on. Will Cam Reddish get his role back? Will Deuce McBride continue to play over Derrick Rose? Will the Knicks do something about their poor three-point shooting and poor perimeter defense? And by do something, I don't just mean give Fournier a crack or give Deuce more run, but maybe they do something via trade soon. Or maybe they sign Melo in free agency before he goes to Taiwan and looks bad. I don't want that. I don't want him to do that. It's just a bad look. But please don't sign him. Trying to move the ball. Anyways, the Hawks are next. They've got some drama going on with Trae Young and Coach McMillan. So maybe the Knicks can steal another one. I don't know. Is it at the Garden? I don't know if it's at the Garden. I hope it's at the Garden. Nonetheless, that's all we've got. We're going to head to break, get back, wrap it up with the question of the day, and that'll be that. Stay with us. Be right there. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Alright, welcome back to the show, episode 445 of BD4. We are going to wrap this up with our trivia question of the day. Let's get into it. All right. So, for this episode 445, our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day is: which Knicks coach has the most losses in franchise history underneath him? Which Knicks coach has the most losses in franchise history underneath him? All right. Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you don't get it correct, but at least attempt to guess the answer, I'll DM you privately and let you know what the answer is so I don't ruin it for everybody else in the next show. But please guess. That'd be great. It's a fun game. So one last time, which Knicks coach has the most losses in franchise history underneath him? All right, guys, that's it for me. And I will see you. We also have a website now for BD4. Man, I am hitting so many fucking buttons right now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later. Go Yankees, by the way. Literally seconds after the Trey Turner deal was announced, we get the Cashman signing. They know how to troll. All right, guys. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.